Marty. My name's Cassie, and this is my handsome dog Marty. And today we are actually going to talk about our freezer. So, in our freezer we have frozen pet foods and pet food toppers. They're just a great way to add some good nutrients to your dog's diets. So we're going to get right into them. The first two that we're going to talk about are actually just toppers. We have frozen raw goat's milk and frozen bone broth. So these are great ways to put a little more moisture in your dog's diet. Marty, for one, has never been a great drinker or a great eater, so I like to add some of the bone broth to his diet sometimes to encourage him to eat his food. To encourage him to eat his food, but also to encourage some water consumption. It just adds some different flavors and smells to his food. And it's it's a great way to kind of get him to eat his food when he really doesn't want to. Additionally, cats in particular are prone to dehydration. They just don't drink enough most of the time, especially when on kibble diets. So by adding a little bone broth to their diet, you are able to get some added moisture into it. Come on. Come on, buddy. Come on, buddy. Very good. So that's bone broth, and goat's milk is also a great source of added taurine. So if you're concerned about the taurine in your dog's diet or them getting enough, you can always add this to their food to get a little more of that into their diets. The next thing we're going to talk about is actually an edible elixir. So Primal has 3 of these, and the base of them is actually bone broth. So if you do want to add some bone broth to your dog's diet, you can use these, and there are some added ingredients and benefits. One of them is a butternut squash with some turmeric and cinnamon in it, so there's some added fibers as well as other vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants. This one has kale in it, so again, getting some more of that fiber. And then the third one has some green mussel in it, so there's some immunological benefits from that. So not only does this help improve your dog, the palatability of a lot of kibble diets, but it also adds some moistures and has some other added benefits. Next, we have frozen raw marrow bones. So, here, I'll go ahead and show you the back side of that. So this is truly what it sounds like. It's just a frozen raw marrow bone that you can give to your dogs as a nice snack in the summer. It's cold. Come on, buddy. I won't make you get up there again. Here. So this thing has mirrors on either side of it, and he's really not a big fan of the mirrors. So he is cowering away from the stand. I know. Come here. Come here. Come on. Very good. So anyway, going back to our marrow bones, these are great summertime snacks because they're cold, they're frozen. So I really like to give these to Marty in particular in the summer, like when I'm out doing yard work, because it gives them something to do and chew on that's cold. So it's cold in their mouth. It could be good for puppies or younger dogs that might be teething to chew on, because again, it just kind of cools their gums down. But also it really gives them some good time to do dog stuff, right? So chewing is a very natural dog behavior. So you're giving them a new tasty object to chew on. It's got lots of good flavors to it, some fats because of all that marrow in there, some good proteins, and it does build up their jaw strength, which is great. Now, a cautionary tale for these is just be careful where you give them. So I like to give mine outside because it is a raw bone. So as they thaw out, they do get messy. So my dogs typically only get them outside. You can give them inside, I know people who do. Just make sure you are following proper raw handling practices. You know, disinfect after they've been on the ground, clean everything up, wash your hands, and just don't let your dog lick your face after they've been chewing on it. Just, again, there is possibility for pathogen exposure, so just be aware. So, those are our raw marrow bones, would definitely recommend. Now, moving into more of a raw meat type food, we have butcher blends. So these are still raw toppers. This is not a complete diet, but if you're feeding a diet that has like a kibble diet and you think your dog needs a little more protein or fat, or you just want to, again, give them something else to eat along with their kibble, that's a great option because it is just some added protein, and that's all it is. It's just some more ground up meat that has been treated. It's 100% organ and bone meat, or organs and bone. So it's a great source of protein and some minerals, but it is not a complete diet. So, and it's in little tiny pieces that you can add in with your kibble. It'd be a great option for those of you whose dogs aren't super into kibble. You could put it on the bottom, put some kibble on top, and make them sort through their kibble to find it, and they'll eat some of their kibble at the same time. So again, making it a little more interesting for your dog. Different flavors, different scents, and it's very tasty. And finally, we're going to talk about the complete diets. So, we actually have 2 different styles of complete diet, and these can be fed as your dog's food. They are labeled as a complete and balanced diet according to AAFCO, which is the American Association of Feed Control Officials. That is essentially the body of, if that label is on a feed bag, it meets all of dog requirements to our understanding of them, which, you know, we're always learning, but to the best of our ability, it meets what our dogs need. So we have 2 different styles. Now don't pay any attention to the container because what's in the container is not what's on the container. This is one of the options. This is actually an instinct diet. It's in a bite-sized pieces. So I like this option the best. Primal has one too, and a couple of the other guys out there that make raw food have the bite-sized pieces. I really like it because, again, Marty doesn't love his kibble. So what I'll do is I'll take a cup of this, put it on the bottom of his bowl, and then cover it up with a little kibble. And then he has to eat some of the kibble to get down to those pieces. He can sort, but it's a lot more difficult with little nuggets like this compared to a full patty. And this is what the patties look like. So this is just a frozen raw patty. You'd thaw it out, and when you went to feed it, if you could give the whole patty, you can break it into pieces. When I give it to my dogs, I generally will cut it in quarters and give them a quarter in the morning, a quarter in the evening, or halves. It's just, I don't have my dogs on a completely raw diet for my own reasons, but I do want them to be able to have kibble so that when we go somewhere and I need to leave them with my parents or a family friend, I want them to just be able to feed them kibble. That's just my personal choice. That being said, when I'm around, I do feed them some raw because it's about 95% digestible compared to kibble, which is 75 to 85% digestible. So that means of what they're eating, a lot more of what's in raw food ends up in their stomachs and in their systems, or not in their stomachs, just ends up being used by their bodies as opposed to ending up in your yard. And I did do just a little anecdotal case study with my own dogs where I fed them quite a bit more raw for a couple days just to see difference in stool quality, and it was quite a bit smaller when they were eating fully raw versus kibble. And a lot of that is related to both starch digestibility, or not the starch digestibility, just the general digestibility, but also the starch content and the volume, because these items are a lot more nutrient dense than most kibble, so you don't have to feed as much. So you're decreasing the amount you feed and more of it's being used. So you're really going to do it's going to help with stool quality quite a bit. But similar to the raw marrow bones and just handling raw meat in your kitchen, just again, follow safe handling practices. Wash your hands after handling it. I actually have some hand sanitizer over there I'm going to use. And clean off all surfaces if they drop any of it on the floor, and just run your dog bowls through the dishwasher once in a while, which really is a good practice to do anyway, even if you're just feeding kibble, because some nasty bacteria can grow in those bowls. But raw food it's also probably the most palatable diet that I've ever found. Canned is super palatable as well, but I know my picky eater has never not finished his raw food. So that's also a big sell point, especially for those of you that do struggle to get your dogs to eat all of their food. Raw food is a good if you have any questions on raw food or want to try some, feel free to stop by our Kingstown, Bel Air, Whiteford stores. Would be happy to help you get a trial going for this. And if you have any questions, feel free to let us know. Thanks for tuning in, and we will see you in 2 weeks.